Hi, everyone. This is Catherine Carmignani with Mass Golf, and I'm joined today by Tara Joy Connelly. She is a 9-time Anne Marie Tobin Women's Player of the Year. She is a native of Duxbury, Massachusetts, and she's actually won over, I'd say, probably 20 women's Massachusetts championship type events. And she's had some great success down in Florida too, but we like to just talk about what's happened up in Massachusetts. So Tara, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so kind of talking about the tremendous amount of success you've had down in Florida. Back in February, you did very well at the International Women's Four Ball, which at a time was, everything was kind of normal then, but since then, have you been, playing a whole lot, being down in Florida and having access to so much golf, unlike up here in Massachusetts?
Well, yes and no. There was a long point, I'd say 6 weeks or so, that I didn't play any golf. The courses kind of locked down here, and I didn't know of one of the local public courses up the way that was open. So I was like everyone else, I was obviously just stuck in neutral, basically at home every day and that kind of thing. So even the public course outside our back of our community here shut down. So so I just assumed everyone was shut down. And then as things kind of rolled along, some of the guys that work with my husband were like, "Oh, we're going up to the Muni. It's open." We're doing like 250 to 300 rounds a day.
Wow.
Because people just wanted their golf. I mean, there were stories of people driving from Miami the 2.5 hours up here to play golf. I mean, so people love golf. We like that. But and then I started to pick it up a little bit. But I bought a net for the backyard, and I was hitting some balls into the net. Then the most you can do, right?
Yeah, you make the most of a situation. But you speak of everyone driving from Miami on up. Everyone was headed from Massachusetts down to Connecticut. But now that things are open and everyone's playing, are you playing consistently now through the weeks? And
I'm playing a few times a week now. I don't have my first tournament for a few more weeks now, and it's down in Palm Beach County, which it's so dense. They've had more cases, and everyone's still very concerned with what's going on, and taking precautions and all that stuff. I'll probably stay down there, which I'd say I'm not thrilled about staying in the hotel, but I'll just keep the sign on the door, no service, thanks. Clean it when I get in. So it's all good. Everyone loves golf. If you're playing, you love golf and you're willing to go for it. But I think, having no rakes and, walking and not touching the pin is making the game play so fast. It's great. That's how we play golf. Ready and no rakes, no pins.
That's fantastic. I'm hearing both sides of it. Some people are like, "Oh, I want everything back. I want to be able to pull the pin." But it is nice, the pace of play being kicked up a notch. That is for sure.
I'm not a huge fan of the pin in, especially on the short ones, but it's better than not playing at all. So I'll go with it.
That's a great perspective on it. Yeah. So you brought up something very interesting. So having your local tournaments, and the fact that when you're traveling, you're going to need to stay in different parts of the state, and all the women are dealing with that. Have you shaped your local schedule around kind of things that are happening, or like you said, you're happy, you're out there, you're golfing, we love it?
Yeah, they're down here they tried to get in the major championships, the state amateur, the state mid-am, the state senior. They tried to do one of everything, so as not to leave a category of golfer out, which is the best we can have this year. Like everywhere, some courses will let you in, some others are not interested in outside people coming in. They're restricting warm-up times, practice times afterwards. It's going to be a little hot because some of the places don't have enough carts, and part of the whole thing with the reopening is only one per cart. So, I think we're going to be walking in July. That might be a little bit hot down here, but you just have to go with it. I'm in sales, and that's been non-existent for a couple months, and we anticipate being able to get at it in August. And I cover all of Florida, basically. So, there'll be nights in hotels, there'll be lots of precautions, but hopefully it all works out for the best.
Yeah, it very much sounds like you're experiencing, very similar things to what we're experiencing up here. And I'm glad that you'll be able to play some golf like the rest of the women in our state at least. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit about competition at the national level. There are events that are just not happening this season and opportunities, regionally and nationally that just are taking a break for the time being. I know that you are working with the Amateur Golf Alliance, who now has a Women's National Amateur Championship. Can you tell me a little bit about that group and what's happening nationally and what they're offering here?
Yeah, the Amateur Golf Alliance is a really interesting group of men that really just wanted to give back to the game. They took it upon themselves when they were mid-ams and early seniors to start tournaments. Basically, they saw a void in the market, where men's market is deeper than the women's market. That void in the market came much sooner for them, and they're like, we should do this, we should do that. So I guess it was a couple of years ago, one of the major women's amateur tournaments is in January, and I was out at that, and I think Herbie Akins was like down for the senior junior at Di Preserve, and he was like, hey, can we get a game? I'm like, I'm off at this tournament. And I'm thinking, one of these years I'd really rather play with Herbie, like get a game in finally. And, it was kind of like, it was a terrible day and the golf course wasn't in great shape. And it was actually sleeted on us. So I got back to the condo I was splitting with some girls and I was like, what are we doing here? I'm like, this is miserable. We always say we're never coming back, and we come back. I'm starting my own tournament. So that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And I ran into a little roadblock getting access to people's information. It's like we see people once a year at the U.S. Mid-Amateur and, hey, how are you? I might follow them on Facebook, but don't necessarily have a lot of personal contact information. So, I reached out when I hit the wall with the USGA, I reached out to Bob Ford, the great connector of all connectors. And I was like, Bob, maybe you can help me with this. And he said, I can do one better. Why don't you come join Alan Fidel and I for breakfast on Wednesday? I think he's looking to do the same thing you're doing. So we met and he told me all about the Amateur Golf Alliance, and it was easy to really fold in with them. They're already a 501c3. We're started to develop and promote the male and female game of golf, basically provide assistance for Walker Cup and Curtis Cup squads. We're looking at doing things with first tees. We're doing software development as far as teaching portals and statistical portals, things like that. So it was easy once Alan really is a huge fan of amateur golf, and when he got going, it was easy to buy in basically. So and hence the women's championship was melded with the AGA, and we had a couple of hiccups here and there, but especially getting Lob Lolly for Memorial Day. But then when the virus struck, it really sent us scrambling. And when the USGA canceled their schedule, I'm like, I am not giving up on this because there is pent up demand. If we can get it to the fall, I think that, we'll have really a lot of untapped market. One of the things that we're doing different is we're going to try to push the mid-amateur bracket, basically. Mid-am and seniors is what this is devised for women. It is, seniors are an integral part of the mid-am women's game. We have pushed it down to post-college eligibility or 23 plus. So we might pick up someone like Crystal Knight, basically, who's graduated, and, we don't want them to put down their clubs for a few years. And, it's easy to fall out of love with the game and move on to other things. And there's no reason for that, So hopefully it attracts some young people that, not everyone turns professional and, likes to just compete for the thrill of it and, see what their game has that week. So hopefully we attract that young set. And I think the USGA will end up going that way, basically, at least for the ladies game, reducing the age, basically. So hopefully, it comes to fruition instead the end of September. Yeah. We're at the Di Preserve in Jupiter, Florida, a great golf course, and hopefully we can get it all off the ground.
Yeah, you had some great things to say in there, and I just love that you've mentioned now that, women can easily fall out of the game after playing in college, starting their career, maybe it doesn't blend well, but having these events to look forward to, keeping them in the community, even at the national level, I think that's fantastic. And I'm glad that you're sticking with it and you're not giving up on it. So the dates are end of September?
The practice round is September 30th and it's October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So 3 days of stroke play.
That's great. And registration has opened up for it. What kind of response have you seen so far? Have you had a lot of questions? Have you just been doing a lot of outreach, trying to understand who might join?
We're basically halfway to a full field at this point, which is great considering the news has everyone freaked out about coming to Florida. They're reporting all the increasing cases, but people that it's so dense down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, and where businesses have been open, but are slowly trying to figure out how to get people back to work, with temperature checks and daily temperature checks and mandated testing now. Of course, with testing increased numbers, but it's a lot of asymptomatic people. So luckily we don't have a lot of sick people. Hospitalizations are way down, and deaths are obviously way down. So thank goodness for that. So it's really nothing to be ashamed of, or not ashamed of, but worried about, basically, because we're taking the same precautions the rest of the country is taking.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. The big question is, are you going to compete too, or are you just going to help organize?
The AGA is such a deep group. We have like 30 rules people that have already volunteered. We have plenty of board members. There's plenty of folks around. So that week, and Rob Addington from Anera Sports and his assistant Amanda will come in and run the tournament. So I really just get to show up and play, which is great.
That's a great deal. That certainly is. Is there any worry just at the beginning of the season? I know for Mass Golf, just speaking on our behalf, we've had to bump some events to fall, which are traditionally in spring. Is there any worry that there's going to be some overlap with things that are happening in September or beginning of October?
I tried very hard to gather information from around the country. I think we overlap one day of like the Texas Women's Senior, and they have a very strong contingent that travels. And I think it might be a couple days off of the California Women's Senior, so like they couldn't get the travel in, basically. But I tried very hard. There's a big tournament. The Southern Senior drew 140 people or so last year, and it's at a great golf course this year. So I think they'll get a good turnout. So we're 10 days in front of them, and we did what we could. Hopefully we don't overlap anything ever, because that's definitely not the goal of it. To take away from the women's game, there's such a void in the women's mid-amateur game. We don't have the senior junior like the guys do. We don't have, the Coleman Cup at Seminole. This will be the first one of a national championship or even a national invitational other than the USGA's tournament. So hopefully, we can really make way on calendars and not overlap anyone anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's certainly a science in order to make sure you're not overlapping with the big pockets of golf in the U.S. and just appreciate hearing that. And I know there's going to be plenty of women from Massachusetts that will want to make the trip down. They're certainly looking for some competition. The New England Women's Amateur is going to be happening the week of next week, July 1, 2, and 3, and it's going to be just very exciting. Everyone's chomping at the bit for that regional competition. So something like this, beyond state and regional, just filling the void, like you said, and not letting certain things fall off in a year like this, where a lot of people are playing more and more golf. Do you think there's a bit of a boom down in Florida too? Maybe somebody that hasn't played in recent years is picking it back up again because it's that safe recreational activity?
I definitely think so. And the courses that stayed open were jammed packed. Members at private clubs are staying longer, and they're still here. So it's still very busy golf-wise, which is great. There's not that many tournaments. A lot of clubs were forced to cancel tournaments, postpone tournaments. So I think the fall is going to find the private club business trying to get in things that they missed in the spring, basically, with the immediate shutdown. But hopefully, there is pent-up demand everywhere, and hopefully it gives people time to feel like, oh, I dusted my clubs off enough. I'd like to get back into it, and they stay in the game.
Yeah, certainly. So another all-important question: when are you coming back up to Massachusetts to play?
I was hoping to come up for the We Met, but it looks like work might get in the way. I'm really bummed out about that. I could use a break from heat too. So maybe later in the fall. I still work with Tom Kavicki at Harmon on my game, so Great. When Skype runs out of options. my game. I'm sure maybe I'll make a trip.
Oh, good, good, fantastic. All right, so give us the good information then. We'll certainly be passing it along, but what's the website? Where should people head to find out some more information on this event?
You can find out the information at amateurgolfalliance.org.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, no, we'll absolutely be passing this along, and just thank you so much for taking the time today to kind of walk me through what's been happening down in Florida and this great national event for everybody. We really do appreciate it, and like I said earlier, I'm going to make sure that we spend some time with you soon and just continue to go through your resume of how wonderful and accomplished you were when you were up in Massachusetts and still down in Florida to this day. So. Keep playing well, and we appreciate you taking the time today, Tara.
Hey, thanks so much. And hey to everyone back home.